Hello everyone, welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. South Africa A versus the British and Irish Lions tomorrow night in Cape Town. What is being dubbed a mini test match because of the sheer strength of the South Africa A side. And I think it pretty much is a test match. I think if we're going to be very brutally honest with us, it's not the team that a month ago we would have seen play in the South Africa A side. If we had that second Georgia match, this is not the team that we would have seen for the South Africa A side. So it is in many ways a mini test match, but it also, I think when you look at the players who are playing, it's a lot of players who haven't played a lot of rugby. I think there's a lot of players who have played a lot of rugby and maybe didn't need to play tomorrow, but they want to get combinations right. They want to try and make sure that players can play together and that they're prepared and that they've got enough depth. For example, something like Andre Pollard, if he's not available for the first test, are we going Morne Steyn, are we going Alton Yankees? Where are we going with that? In terms of our locks, we know it's going to be Franco Moss and Evan Etzebeth at this stage, but who will be come off the bench? Are we going to go the 6-2 split? Where are we going to move in there? So these are all the things that we're going to try and sort of answer tomorrow night. And I think it's also very, very close to test strength British and Irish Lions team. In fact, I think it was Sam Warburton, the 2017 British and Irish Lions captain, who was saying that he reckons that tomorrow has 11 of the test starters in that lineup. So I think it's going to be a very, very good game. As I said, it's been dubbed a mini test. I'm going to get my box shirt out, and we're going to be live tomorrow forward, and we're in for what's going to be an absolute cracker. Before we look at the two teams, please do smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel as well. We've got so much content coming up there, so make sure you turn on the notifications so that you see all of it as it comes out. And we'll start with this South Africa A side, which is being captained by the Kanya tomorrow. I think that could be a bit of an early indication as to who would captain the Springboks next weekend if Siya Kolisi is not available. Siya Kolisi was one of the men with COVID, as well as Andre Pollard, Lou Diaga, Frans Maherba, quite a few players who are affected. So if you're looking at this lineup, Stephen Kitsoff, Joseph Dwebe, Trevor Nyakane, power front row. I'm a massive Joseph Dwebe fan. I was so upset to see him go overseas. I'm still sitting there. If anybody from the Sigma Lions are watching, go and sign him. We need a hooker. That's exactly the type of player we need at the Lions. And I think he wants to stay in South Africa, actually, but he's gone overseas. He's playing maybe for Bordeaux. And he's next to Trevor Nyakane and Stephen Kitsoff, who are arguably our starting front row. Trevor Nyakane, Frans Maherba, I think that's quite a nice little battle, but I think Stephen Kitsoff is comfortably our best loose hit in the country. So Joseph Dwebe gets an opportunity for him to try and sort of stake a claim. It's a massive uphill battle for him to try and get ahead of Malcolm Marx and Mongi Benambi, two world-class hookers. But it's Evan Etzebeth and Franco Moss. That is our test. That will be our starting combination in the first test. There's no doubt about that. Archer Snyman, they reckon maybe might be available for the last sort of two, maybe second last test, maybe last test, but they're sort of more looking for the Rugby Championship to bring Archer Snyman back, who actually had to have a skin graft surgery. But Franco Moss, I thought, was fantastic against Georgia. Evan Etzebeth, I didn't actually think was that impressive, so I think that I'm hoping to see a bit of an improved performance from him. We still wait to see what's happening with Lou Diaga. He's got COVID, we've got injury issues, we've got no idea where he sort of stands. It's quite a nice loose trio. Marco van Staden, a very different sort of player to having Siya Kolisi there. Very good fetcher, but very much like Kolisi, makes a lot of tackles and stuff like that. So, I suppose defensively he'll offer a similar thing, but he is known as a very good fetcher, and that's what he'll try and bring tomorrow. I think it's quite important tomorrow to try and sort of slow the breakdown down. That's something that the Sharks did well in the first half against the British and Irish Lions, well, a lot better anyway. And then they couldn't do in the second half because they didn't have the numbers to be able to commit to the breakdown, and the Lions were just running riot. So I think that it's an interesting combination, because I think that if Siya Kolisi, and obviously know that Duane Vermeulen is not available, who are your fetchers? So when you've got Malcolm Marx and you've got Duane Vermeulen, you've got two fetchers in there, but you've got Stephen Kitsoff in there as a fetcher. So, if you've got, Kwagga Smith, for example, that's why I think he's an interesting option at number 8. He's a very different player to Duane Vermeulen, but he plays that fetching role, and if he plays that fetching role, it means that Siya Kolisi can sort of take up positions on the wider channels. And sort of be used more as a ball carrier. So, it's not always about, like-for-like replacements. Just because Duane Vermeulen is injured doesn't mean we have to go and try and find a marauding 8th man who can also win the ball on the ground. It's if P-Step Toy is injured doesn't mean you have to go find a massive, ex-lock who makes a lot of tackles and is quite physical. You've got to look at roles and who can fulfill these roles. So, the Springboks have always had sort of two fetchers and often sort of, or two or three fetchers. We saw like Henry Brousseau, but when you've got Duane Vermeulen, he's very good on the ground. Malcolm Marx, he's an auxiliary fetcher, he's very good on the ground. But Stephen Kitsoff's very good on the ground as well. So if you've got Kitsoff, for example, and you've got Van Staden tomorrow, I think those are your fetchers tomorrow. I think those are the players who are going to slow the breakdown down. Joseph Dwebe as well is also very good over the ball. Which means that you can then have a sort of a player like Jasper Wiese, who's a very good ball carrier, very physical, and then you've got P-Step the Toy, who's very good in the defense. Whereas I think if you've got Siya Kolisi and P-Step then P-Step the Toy, you've got defensively very good. And that's what Kolisi does. He defends brilliantly. He's always topping tackle charts. He's a very, very good defender, and he hits a lot of rucks. He does a lot of the hard yards to Siya Kolisi, which is many anyway, while his contribution sometimes goes unnoticed. But what we did see was immediately with Kwagga Smith playing, who's going to be sort of more around the fringes, looking for those breakdowns, stuff like that. On the attack, we suddenly saw Siya Kolisi down on the flanks and with the ball in hand more. But with the ball in hand in space, he's got very good ball skills to Siya Kolisi. So it's interesting how you can sort of play around with team stuff like that when we have got changes. But in terms of the backline, Faf de Klerk, Morné Steyn, Spooren Corsi, Damon Dealindi, Yakan Colby, Willie LaRue. What more could you want? We need to give Damon Dealindi time. The Kanya had to come back and get some game time. Same as Spooren Corsi, Chosen Colby. They haven't run out. I think the one change I might have made was we'll look at Apelele Fassi at fullback, or maybe Damien Willemse at fullback. I'm interested to see where Damien Willemse will come off the bench, where he'll actually play. But Faf de Klerk hasn't played yet for the Springboks, and I think Morné Steyn, they're going to probably much. I think tomorrow's a trial for Morné Steyn. I think tomorrow it's a case of, can you still play at this intensity? We know that you can do it at the Rainbow Cup. We know that you were doing it at the Currie Cup. Can you still play at test match intensity? And if the answer is no tomorrow, then they probably have to back maybe Alton Yankees next weekend. But if the answer is yes, he can, then it suddenly becomes quite an interesting option. You've got they're very different players of Alton Yankees and Morné Steyn. Morné Steyn, more reliable boot, sort of better at sort of his game management with his boots. But then you've got Alton Yankees, is far more exciting in terms of being able to sort of score tries if you're chasing a game. He came on a brilliant effect in Wellington where he helped the Springboks win that game. So it's two very contrasting fly halves, which is nice options to have. You don't just want to have three of the same players when you can just slot them in. You want to have somebody that all bring their own sort of package, same as the Lions. With their fly halves, with Dan Biggar and Finn Russell, Owen Farrell, and now Marcus Smith, they've all got something different. I think the fact that Finn Russell gets injured, so they say, we don't really have an exciting sort of off-the-cuff fly half, so they bring in Marcus Smith. I really like that sort of approach. And then off the bench, it hasn't been confirmed, but we'll see Malcolm Marx, Quinny Oosthuizen, and Vincent Kark. Hopefully, we'll see Nicholas Janssen van Rensburg, Reynard Alstad. And then I reckon we'll probably see Herschel Yankees, Jesse Creel, and Damien Willemse. I think that would make the most sense. I think if there are issues, then I think maybe Kwagga Smith and Alton Yankees would come in. But I don't think the plan is to have those two on the bench tomorrow. In terms of the British and Irish Lions side, it's a very, very good British and Irish Lions side. Conor Murray will captain the side, his first appearance of the tour in the starting lineup as for the tour captain. And he's the tour captain, but we might be seeing Adam Jones back in the mix. It sounds like today is in many ways sort of D-Day for whether he might actually return to the squad. Also, lots of stories about Ronan Kelleher coming into the squad. But if you're looking at that front row, Wyn Jones, Ken Owens, and Carl Sinclair, I think maybe Ted Furlong potentially sort of moving into that tight head spot, but I think that's a pretty solid front row. Murray Toja, Ian Henderson, I don't see why you would sort of move away from those two in terms of your starting lock, unless you want to maybe put Tad Byrne into the locks. But I think that's a very solid lock combination. I think Ian Henderson's very good at line-out time. I think that Murray Toja offers a little bit of everything. Josh Navidi, Tom Curry, and Talape Faletau. Curry's playing for his spot, isn't he? I think he'll be on the bench if he doesn't get that starting lineup. But Hamish Watson has been sublime. So this is an opportunity for Curry from the get-go to say, you know what, don't forget about me. I'm ready to be in that starting lineup. And then Josh Navidi, late call up to the tour. I love him. I think he's a fantastic player. I really, really hope he puts in the big shift tomorrow, because I think he could be. I think it's Tadek Byrne probably got his one hand on number 6 jersey. I think you've got Courtney Laws who probably be in the test, but Navidi is somebody that can be a bit of a spanner in the works. You can sort of throw something into it. Talape Faletau, I actually haven't been particularly impressed with him. I think the fact that we've seen Simmons so often off the bench, I think it's between Jack Hearn and Faletau for who will start. And I would prefer to see sort of Simmons coming off the bench than either of them, to be honest. I think he's a bit more of an impact player. In terms of the back line, Murray Biggar, that's your test starting combination. I think Josh Adams, Reece Salmon, that could very well be the 2 test wings. I reckon that they'll go Josh Adams and Duane van der Merwe. And look, Stuart Hogg's running out of time to get fit. So if he will be fit, maybe he starts at full back, but otherwise you could have Anthony Watson on. What's quite interesting to see is Anthony Watson at full back and Adams on the wing, where you could have had Anthony Watson on the wing and Josh Adams at full back. But Bundy Aki and Chris Harris are a very good centre pairing, and I think that they've got an opportunity tomorrow to sort of audition as a pairing for the test. I think Bundy Aki is a very aggressive, very strong ball carrier. Chris Harris is fantastic defensively, so they sort of complement each other quite well. Robbie Henshaw is someone who I think before the tour would have been a sure starter, but he just hasn't really played, has he? So, can he get himself fit and right, ready? I think him and Stuart Hogg are on a similar boats where they would have been sure starters, but if it's a case of are they fit, are they ready to play? And then off the bench, Cowan Dickey, Vinipola Ferguson, it's a nice front row to bring on. Adam Beard getting an opportunity here. And then Tadek Byrne, Sam Simmons, so it's a nice big ball carriers coming on. Sam Simmons is electric. And then you got 6-2 split. So they really want to try and front up against the Springboks, or the SAA, and make sure that they don't sort of get blown away physically. And then you've got Gareth Davies and Elliot Daly. Elliot Daly, he's played he can play on wing, he can play at full back. He's been playing usually in the centres. So a massive boost, although it is at sea level, so not quite the same sort of effect as it would be at altitude. But it's a very, very good side, and the both sides are very good. So I think we're for a very exciting game. I actually don't even think I'm going to make a prediction just yet, because I think I want to wait and sort of think about it more. But let me know what your score predictions are down in the comments below. Smash like the video, subscribe to the channel. We'll be live tonight for a fan forum of this. We've got four panelists who are going to be discussing this game and breaking it down and seeing what they want to see tomorrow night. So you can come and hang out. They'll be live at 7:30 with Lecanio as your host. And then tomorrow I'll be back with you live for this game itself. So make sure you come and hang out there. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steven. I'll chat to you guys soon.